Are there some behaviors you don't like in your man but find yourself putting up with? Indeed, this can often be the case in relationships because we tend to be more tolerant of the people we love. According to psychology, we're usually the last to notice the toxic traits in our partners, even when these traits appear pretty obvious. Well, there may just be some truth in the saying that love is blind, since there aren't many other possible explanations for this. But perhaps love shouldn't be so blind after all. And you might have noticed some specific behaviors you find repulsive and unacceptable in others, but tend to overlook them in your man. Well, that is understandable, but there should always be a limit. Of course, love is considerate, but some things are extreme and should never be tolerated in a relationship. Indeed, you can't know when you're over-tolerant if you don't know the toxic traits you shouldn't be putting up with. So I've compiled a list of the 10 behaviors you should never tolerate from a man, and I'll reveal them in this video. Be sure to stick around until the end to discover some red flags that should never be overlooked in a relationship. Also remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more relationship tips and helpful advice. Now let's begin. Number 1. He is physically abusive. Abuse is often at the top of most lists of unacceptable behavior, and this is because it's pretty much the most obvious red flag. Of course, there are different types of abuse, but it becomes especially alarming and totally unruly when a man results in physical violence, especially against a woman. Thankfully, this behavior has been frowned upon a lot in recent times, prompting a broad awareness against physical abusers. However, we sometimes tend to make excuses for abusers in the name of love, hoping they'll eventually change. But then, there shouldn't be any world where physical abuse is tolerated for any reason. If he lays his hands on you once and you tolerate it, then there's every tendency he'll do it again and again. So you must be ready to leave such relationships as soon as you find out he's abusive. Number 2. He is controlling. Another form of abuse that is often overlooked is mental abuse, which involves wanting to control another person. Truly, compromise is necessary for any relationship to progress. But if he tries to control your every move or commands you to fall in line without asking questions, then he's just being emotionally abusive. And this too should never be tolerated. We all have the right and freedom to make our own decisions, and this is one of our defining traits as humans. So any man who tries to take away this freedom and control you isn't worth staying with. Number 3. He ignores your feelings. Perhaps this is another level of seeking control, and it's worth mentioning. As humans, we have feelings, which are part of what makes us who we are. But unfortunately, some people can be so self-centered that they often want to impose themselves on others without considering their feelings. Well, you don't need to be told to avoid entering a relationship with someone who talks or acts without considering how you feel. Your feelings are valid and deserve to be respected, so you should know never to tolerate a man that ignores them. Number 4. He cheats. This is another very popular red flag that is receiving much attention today. And rightly so. If you have a partner that cheats on you, then it's obvious he doesn't respect you, and you mustn't tolerate this behavior. Loyalty is one defining quality of romantic relationships, and if he can't stay true to you without cheating, then he's not worthy of being in a relationship with you. The only exception to this should be if you had a prior agreement to have other sexual partners, in which case it may not be referred to as cheating. So have you ever tried to tolerate a cheating partner? Well, tell us how it turned out in the comments section below. We sure want to learn from your experiences too. Number 5. He's not trustworthy. Trust is the foundation of every relationship, and it's often what makes the relationship stronger. However, it's almost impossible to trust someone who has not given you a reason, or who has shown over and over that they're not trustworthy. So if he isn't honest in his dealings with you, or if he continuously breaks your trust in any way, then he doesn't deserve to be in a relationship with you. You should know that a relationship built on lies and deceit often doesn't last. Instead, if you want to build a stable and lasting romantic relationship, you should never tolerate a man that is not trustworthy. Number 6. He's manipulative. Do you often find yourself doing things you often wouldn't do just to please your partner? Well, the truth is that a compromise is often necessary for relationships to thrive, but only if you do it of your own volition. On the other hand, though, if you find yourself doing things you don't want to do because of your partner's influence, then he just might be manipulating you against your will. In most cases, you'll regret ever agreeing to do these things, but only after he's had his way. If this is the case, you're very likely dealing with a manipulative person, and that's as dangerous as it can get. Manipulation is one behavior you should never tolerate from a man for your safety and well-being. So you must be vigilant to know when you're being manipulated, and you should be intentional enough to avoid such relationships. By the way, if you want to learn how to identify and escape the grip of manipulative partners, I recommend you reach out to onlinetherapy.com now. The experts here are well trained to help you spot manipulative people and deal with them before they cause you any damage. Number 7. He never apologizes. We have all met people who think they're always right and never feel the need to apologize. These people seem to think the world revolves around them, so they can do whatever they want to others unapologetically. You should never tolerate this toxic trait from anyone, let alone from your partner. This is because staying with such a man slowly takes a toll on your self-esteem, since they're often quick to blame you, even when they are obviously at fault. Of course, nobody is perfect, but he should be responsible enough to recognize when he's wrong and apologize for his faults. Number 8. He's disrespectful. Relationships are often about love and mutual respect, so you should never tolerate a man who doesn't respect you. In fact, he doesn't deserve any of your respect if he doesn't extend the same courtesy to you, and you shouldn't even consider being in a relationship with such a person. Number 9. He avoids communication. People go into relationships for many reasons, but most times it's because we need someone to connect with on a deeper emotional level. According to psychology, honest conversations and open communication are the only way to create genuine connections. However, you'll find that your efforts to connect will only yield frustration if your partner avoids communication, and this can be pretty frustrating. So you should know not to tolerate a man that avoids communication. Number 10. He doesn't take care of himself. Personal hygiene is critical, and you should never take a person who doesn't care for himself very seriously. If a person cannot take responsibility for something as minor as their personal hygiene, then they certainly don't deserve to be in a relationship. So you mustn't tolerate a man who doesn't know how to keep clean and care for himself. You sure want to watch out for our next video, where I'll be discussing another sensitive topic that affects you and your relationship with others.